This lesson provides an overview of the links and tabs generally used by operators who need to perform administrative tasks on the system. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to identify the purposes of the task tabs on the system and identify the purposes of the setup links on the system. After logging in, the application's homepage displays. The homepage may look different depending on your system preferences and the permissions you have. From here, you can navigate to other areas of the interface through tabs and buttons. The user links are located here. We overviewed these links in the previous course. We can use these links to perform basic tasks in the application, such as changing your password and account settings, accessing support and help, and logging out of the application. The task tabs are located here. Most tasks on the system are carried out by using these tabs. In the previous course, we overviewed 3 of these tabs: the Monitor tab, the Identities tab, and the Reports tab. We will start with this tab. The tab loads. As we learned previously, the Monitor tab provides access to the application's oversight feature. Monitoring operators can perform tasks such as monitoring events in real time, searching for events, monitoring alarms indoors, and more. Next, we will click on this tab. The Identities tab loads. As overviewed in the previous course, the Identities tab enables operators to search for identities, as well as add, edit, or delete identities registered on the system. Some operators can also use this tab to perform more advanced tasks, such as creating printable badge templates for identities or configuring identity profiles. Identity profiles are templates that can be applied to multiple identities at once. We will be overviewing these more advanced tasks later in this course. Next, we will look at this page. The Reports tab loads. As we previously covered, this tab gives operators with the right permissions access to predefined reports. In this course, we look at this tab in more detail as we will learn how to create a custom report. A custom report is a system report that has been edited to meet specific requirements. Next, we will click on this tab. The Physical Access tab loads. This tab enables operators with the right permissions to define and configure the hardware connected to the appliance. Also, through this tab, operators can perform other advanced tasks, such as dividing the space up into areas or configuring events and actions on the system. Many of these advanced tasks are performed upon initial setup and installation, and are covered in subsequent ACM courses. In this course, our scope is limited to overviewing tasks related to administering the system. Therefore, we will not be overviewing this tab in this course. Next, we will click on this tab. This tab enables operators with the right permissions to perform advanced tasks such as defining different permissions on the system, dividing the system up into sections, or determining elevator access. Later in this course, we will specifically examine these 2 sub-tabs. We briefly touched on roles in the previous course. To review, a role is a container for all of the permissions an identity would need to perform a specific role in the space. For example, an operator can be assigned a monitoring role. This monitoring role can contain specific permissions allowing the operator to monitor certain parts of the system. Or, a cardholder can be assigned an employee role. This employee role can contain specific permissions allowing the employee to enter certain areas in the space, such as the second floor. An access group is a grouping of doors on the system. In other words, the doors in an area can be put together into a single collection called an access group. Then, the access group can be assigned to a role. Roles can be assigned to individual cardholders. When assigned, these cardholders will be able to access all the doors within their assigned access groups. For example, this cardholder has been assigned the employee role. The employee role contains 2 access groups, office and cafeteria. Therefore, the employee can access all the doors that are within the office and cafeteria areas. However, since they were not assigned the lab access group, they are unable to access any of the doors in the lab area. We will discuss roles, access groups, and how to define these more in depth later in the course. What's important to understand right now is that a role is simply a container of permissions an identity needs to perform a specific role in the space. and an access group is simply a grouping of doors that cardholders can access. Now we will look at the setup links, which are located here. Use these links to perform setup-related tasks in the application, such as changing the access control appliance's name, configuring a schedule on the system, or importing information into the system. In this course, we will focus on this link. Let's begin with this one. The appliance edit page loads. Through this page, operators with the right permissions can perform various tasks related to updating, maintaining, and backing up the system. Next, we will look at this page. The appliance backup page loads. Operators with the right permissions can maintain the system by copying information about the system to a host computer where it's stored. In the event that the information on the system becomes corrupted, this backup data can be transferred to replace the corrupted data. Now, let's examine this page. Operators can also use this page to maintain the system. Once the latest version of the software is downloaded, operators can install the update to the appliance through this page. Now, let's look at this link. The menu loads displaying various options. Operators with the right permissions can use this menu to define the building blocks of the system. For example, through this menu, operators can define schedules and holidays, load and configure floor plans of the space, or create custom fields on the system. In this course, we will learn about many of these options in this menu. Let's begin with this one. The Schedules page loads. Some operators can define schedules on the system. A schedule is a time period defined for use by the system. It's an editable, reusable time template that can be used to control such things as when a door is accessible or when a device is activated. In this course, we will set up a schedule on the system. Let's return to the Settings menu. The menu loads. Let's look at this option now. The Holidays page loads. Holidays are specific days in the year when a standard schedule does not apply. For example, New Year's Day is a holiday that often falls on a weekday, so the office is closed to employees. We will overview setting up a holiday later in this course. Let's look at some of the other options in the Settings menu. The menu loads. Let's look at this option now. The page loads. User-defined fields are used to collect additional details about identities on the Identities page. For example, you can collect information on a person's appearance and then search for it in the Identities tab. Later in the course, we'll walk through how to set up a custom field to collect and search for unique information on identities. Let's return to the Settings menu to see other options. The menu loads. Let's look at this option now. The Badge Templates page loads. Operators can use this page to design badge templates. Operators tasked with adding or managing identities on the system can add photos, logos, text, or database fields to badge templates and define the layout. Once an operator assigns a badge template to an identity, they can create a badge that is auto-populated with the identity's details. This process is overviewed later in the course. Click here to return to the Settings menu. The menu loads. Let's look at this option now. The Maps page loads. Maps are a graphical representation of the physical space on the system. Operators can import any image of the space into the system, then add doors, inputs, outputs, and camera shortcuts so that events can be monitored in reference to where they occur. This topic will be overviewed more in depth later in the course. To sum up, in this overview, we looked at tabs and links useful to operators who need to perform administrative tasks on the system. We saw where to click to configure customized reports on the system, to configure access groups and roles, to define schedules and holidays, and to create custom fields and graphic maps. We also looked where to go to perform a system backup or software update. We'll build on this foundational knowledge throughout this course as we will overview how to perform all of these tasks in detail.